often young entrepreneurial players, have decided, hey, we can buy some cheap Japanese import vans, deck them out with squabs, put in a gas cooker, don't worry about the expensive toilet stuff, and we'll just throw them out there. And of course backpackers love them because they're so much cheaper than the traditional camper vans. And of course that has helped fuel an explosion in backpackers using these camper vans to go wherever they want. And it's appealing to a different market, what I call the sort of gap year party market. And that's a dangerous thing for our landscape. If you keep stumbling across little piles of things, that's not great. And also just the look. I mean, if you've seen some of these vans, they look like they've been tagged and sprayed up by the local hoods.
Oh no, I think that's fun. It adds some excitement to the. It's
but
fun.
It doesn't fit in with the natural landscape, does it?
It's a paint job on a van. No, the toilet issue I'm with you on, but the paint job's on the van. It's fun. It's different. Why not?
It's a bad look.
Yeah.
And when you stumble across these piles, it's a bad look.
I think we're going to have plenty more discussion on this in the future.
Good.
Now it's on to you beauty, praise or a bollocking, the opposite. What do you have, Bernard?
I have some praise for some men in grey suits at the Reserve Bank who've delayed their plans to introduce tougher capital rules for rural lending. This is going to save farmers probably more than $500 million in this year, according to some bankers. That's more than the increase in the Fonterra payout. That's good news. Whether they actually change their minds overall and this saves money for farmers in the long run is another thing. But good on the Reserve Bank for deciding to hold back.
How aware are farmers of these changes and what could have been?
They're not very aware because no one likes to hear from their banker that their price is about to go up. But the banks I speak to say this could have cost them an extra 40 to 50 basis points. So at least for 6 months, farmers are not going to have that increased cost of funding. But they should be prepared for it in the next couple of years as banks are much more careful with their capital, as Reserve Banks regulators are pushing hard for banks to be a lot more careful. And this is simply going to increase the costs of funds. So farmers should be gearing themselves up, or not gearing themselves down actually, for increased in interest rates, probably along the lines of 2 to 3% over the next couple of years.
Was there some federated farmers lobbying involved there in terms of their discussions with the Reserve Bank and with government?
I don't know if the Reserve Bank were behind the scenes doing it. I suspect they were, but certainly the banks themselves were lobbying quite hard with the Reserve Bank. And to be fair to the Reserve Bank, it has seen that there is a risk here and is doing some stress testing and some checks on what will actually happen. But certainly the banks were worried about it, and being pushed into it before the end of June would have been too quick. That they've delayed it to the end of December is good.
So this is, good news for the economy generally. Ellen, is there any suggestion that other sectors might be looking for some similar arrangements?
A similar sort of thing?
Yeah.
Not that I'm aware of, but it sounds like a very good idea.
They'd be quite keen on such a proposal.
I think most sectors would be.
Now, Bernard, you also have a bollocking, and I think it's one that you've had before on this program.
Yes. It's the traditional Alan Crafer bollocking. He needs to get off that farm pronto, and farmers need to help him do it. Michael Stiasny, no doubt, will send some trespass notices, but if only he'd do it in a dignified way, farmers would breathe a sigh of relief. I fear he's not, and when it happens, it's going to look bad for farmers.
Right. Well, we'll just hope that something does happen there that isn't quite at that level of what goes on. Now, Ellen, I believe you have a bollocking
I have a bollocking for the academic who was in the media on Monday suggesting that pension payments are not made to women who don't have children, as they've made no contribution to the economy.
That's a very long bow to draw, isn't it?
Yeah, I don't even really know where to start on that one, and there's things I can't say about
Do you think that part of the argument was that perhaps women who have had children need the extra income because they might have the kids still at home living with them into their 20s and 30s rather than being self-sufficient?
I think that's a completely different issue, whether or not that's needed. I don't see in this day and age how anyone can come out and say that the sole function for a woman is to have children because that's your contribution to the country and to the economy. It's just appalling.
What did you make of the suggestion, Bernard?
I think it's a symptom of people thrashing around looking for solutions to a pension crisis that's coming in 10 to 20 years' time, when we simply won't be able to afford the current New Zealand superannuation terms, which are retiring at 65 and getting 66% of the average wage. Something needs to be changed so that generations to follow are not paying tax rates of 40 to 50% to pay out for that. Obviously, this is a dumb idea, but something has to be looked at, whether it's means testing, a later retirement age, cutting the pension as a percentage of the average wage, something.
Compulsory saving, all sorts of things. I totally agree. Something needs to be done, but this is just a ridiculous, stupid waste of an argument.
Well, that's all we have time for this week. Thanks to my guests, National Business Review's news editor Alan Reid and interest.co.nz's Bernard Hickey. And thanks to you for watching. Please email your comments to country99tv.co.nz. Check out my blog there, and we'll see you next week. Yes, well, I really agree.